You're listening to This Week in E-Commerce, the Ecom Nation podcast. Dive into the top online retail headlines with your hosts, Paul Waddy and Chia. Let's load up the cart. This Week in E-Commerce, episode 40. I am Chia, and with me for our 40th episode is Paul Waddy.
Yeah, how's it feel to turn 40, Mal?
For the second time.
How are you?
Look, this one is not nearly as painful. I remember when I turned 40, I literally rolled out of bed and I was like, man, my back hurts.
Yeah, I'm gonna say in my late 30s. I mean, I'm 41 now. I was like, I feel fine. And then a second kid came, and then a third kid came, and then my back progressively got worse with each child. So I don't know if correlation equals causation, but kids might have something to do with it.
I think kids, yeah, definitely. I think definitely when it comes to like lower backs, because they just have no damn respect. They will jump on you no matter what position you're in. Like I could just be on the ground, just like picking something up, and my 5-year-old will just come jumping off the couch onto my back.
It's great, isn't it? Fatherhood.
Yep, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. You're lucky you don't have boys. Otherwise, three boys, they would be destroying you.
I know. How's your week?
My week's been really good. It's been I was in Singapore last week, so it's good to be back on terra firma, back in Australia this week, which has been fantastic. Getting a lot done. It's been very busy at the moment. I'm finding a lot of really interesting things happening at the moment, and a lot of people wanting to do interesting things as well.
Cool.
Yeah. And how about you? How's Ecom 100? Your new venture?
2 weeks in. Been great. I've really enjoyed connecting with retailers again on a broader scale, and you too. You've been involved as well. People are getting a lot out of it. Really interesting to know what problems people are having, and there are a lot of repeatable ones, which has been interesting. So yeah, I feel like it's got my finger on the pulse, and it's really interesting, and I'm super energized and excited about it.
Yeah, fantastic. I've really enjoyed being on the sessions. You've got a, on the few I've been on, you've got a really diverse and interesting range of retailers on there, of various sizes, all with different challenges. It's been really fun getting on those and seeing how engaged they are, especially when I'm on there talking about branding, or they're on finance discussions or shipping discussions. They're all really engaged and wanting to find out more, which I think is excellent.
I love it. And they're in the Slack channel afterwards and like, where do I find Mal's video? And love the section about this. And that's really what I'd hoped for. So I've been pretty happy.
Yeah, well done. Fantastic work. All right, we are going to get straight into it. We have quite a few stories today, but first of all, we are going to talk about one which came from Shopfully, which showed that on a survey of 1,000 Australians, 90% of Australians prefer to shop in store, with only 10% saying that they exclusively prefer online shopping. I think I fall into that 10%. It's part of the job description.
I think more than 10% fall into that 10%, Mal, but we'll come to that. Yeah, I'm definitely in that 10% too.
Yeah, like to speak of which, this is a bit of a side, but I have not seen an update from you in terms of like what you have bought lately.
I was thinking about, I've just been too busy to update, but I tell you, just to give a really quick plug, FKZ Active. Just got a whole bunch of, you would love it, Mal. I don't know if you've seen it at all, but
I've seen Sammy from G-Dub. He's always posting about them.
It's made for bodybuilders, which is obviously why I wear it. And it's really good stuff. And two brothers in Sydney, and I look out for this one. FKZ Active is gonna blow up.
All right, I'm keen to find out more.
You have to get you some really good stuff. So I'll have to update on what I've been purchasing lately, actually. Thanks, Mal.
And I recently purchased some biltong. I bought beef bars. So
what?
Chief Nutrition. I've been seeing the ads for a little while, and they had beef bars, which is like pure 100% grass-fed beef bars.
Oh, yes.
It's 20 grams of protein, next to no carbs, and very low fat as well. It's like, yeah, do you know what? Just like I'm trying to
Ooh,
watch my macros, especially like, 44
share
years
that
old.
with me. That's cool.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. Look, and it came within a couple of days' time.
Nice.
It's all dried meats anyway,
Uh-huh.
so not too bad to ship. And so far so good. I got it today, and it's been quite
Ooh,
delicious. But anyway, we're moving on to going away from the topic, which is about online shopping. Does that surprise you? That actually surprised me. I thought more people would
wow.
have gone like, do you know what? We're not gonna shop on in store anymore. That it's an inconvenience. But it seems like that's not how we think.
Do
That
you, do,
people
you-
still definitely want that.
do you want my honest answer?
Yeah, please do. Always want your honest answer.
It depends on who's running the survey.
Yeah, yes,
Right?
yes, of course.
Now, I don't know who Shopfully is, but when I click on their website, the first thing I see is a bunch of catalogs promoting in-store shopping.
Mm.
Now, that might be just, but the results are so skewed that it makes me feel like 90-10. Come on, guys. Who's counting is this like a Trump election? Who's counting the votes here? I look, 1,000 people. Oh, man, where did they find these 1,000 people? Like in the deli section of Woolies?
Probably phone surveys, like the only targeting people with a home phone, like a landline, over 60, a rotary dial phone.
When it comes to surveys, the art is in the asking. Like if I ask you, well, technically, yeah, I guess if you put it that way, no, I don't believe those numbers. No, come on, 90. I love retail shopping, but I prefer online. But it's just so skewed that I feel like it's a little bit whatever. Click and collect, sure. Again, this is all geared towards getting people in store. So whatever. This feels like it could be, a bit about who's running the survey, but that's fine. But I guess like the sentiment that I take from it, is that people do like still going into stores. We know that. We always talk about that. We love omni-channel. We love, retailers who do both. So that's great. Am I about to go and like suggest everyone close their online stores? Probably not. It's just, it's a reminder that for me, it's a reminder that retail's not dead. It's still alive and kicking, but I'm not sure I quite believe that it's 90-10. That feels a bit. The stats don't lie, right, Mal? We know that Ecom's 20-25% of retail. That suggests, But anyway, whatever. Fine. People still like shopping in store. Cool. We like that too.
Yeah, but just like you said, just making sure that you are aware of it. That that there is some consumer preference towards that. So again, it goes back to what we've been saying for a while, that you do need to think omnichannel now more than a couple of years ago, where you had no choice and you could just get away with just being online only. Nowadays, you need to be much more omnichannel, like what I was saying last week about Singapore and Asian countries, where mall culture is still so huge. So it's a wasted opportunity not to have your brand somewhere in a mall where you have tens of thousands of people walking past it every single day. They're going to see it. They're going to get exposed to the brand. Whether they buy from there or not, that's a different question. But It's just another opportunity to market yourself and get your brand in front of your consumers, your customers. Click and collect, though, it's like I'm still not a big click and collect fan. I rarely use it. I just find the whole delay of like having to order it, then if I'm going to order it and I've got to wait, then kind of defeats the whole purpose. If I'm going to order and it's ready straight away, yeah, that would be nice. But often you got to wait a day, couple of days. By that time, you might as well just have had it shipped to you.
Yeah, I think it's suitable for bricks and mortar retailers who want to do that endless aisle sort of thing. Like buy on our site, but we've also got the inventory in store. I think it's smart for that. I don't see it as like, yes, so if you've got stores, I like it to use that inventory and keep the inventory turning over. But for a pure play online retail, would I hunt out click and collect partners? Probably not. Do I use it as a consumer? No, I don't use it as a consumer. It annoys me, if anything.
Yeah.
I'm always let down because I have to find parking. When delivery is so good, and like shout out, we like JB Hi-Fi. Like you can get,
we certainly do,
2-hour delivery under $10. Like, oh, man, I'll just pay the $10.
Yeah, I think that last mile delivery is probably more exciting than click and collect, and has, in my mind, kind of superseded click and collect. Because click and collect, it's like, the benefit is that you can get it more immediately than ordering online. But when you have to wait, what's the point? But if you can get that last mile instant delivery within 2 hours, that's a bit of a game changer. Yeah, and there's so many businesses, whether it be JB Hi-Fi, but also think about chemists as well, where you've got an immediate need for something. You're probably sick and can't actually go out of the house to pick it up. Just get it delivered in 2 hours. It's delivered to your door. You're unwell, easy. Also, if you got to do anything with the kids, hard to take the kids out of the house, which I've had to do a couple of times, more than a couple of times. Sometimes it's a challenge to get 2 or 3 kids out of the house.
Oh, is it ever? I think Final Mile's interesting, and like Justin will tell you from the aggregate code that there's like anywhere in Australia you can get reasonable rates on overnight delivery, nationwide delivery, I think he calls it, for pretty good rates. So I think, click and collect for retail stores makes sense. But I agree. I'm more excited by developments in Final Mile delivery, which is coming along in leaps and bounds, I think.
Now, back in 2021, at the height, or maybe post the hype of the pandemic, there was a lot of noise made by Gabby and Hezi Lebovich, the founders of Catch, about their new venture, which is called Little Birdie, I should say. So I remember there was a lot of hype, a lot of marketing. At the time, I was at Where I remember they would hit me up constantly trying to get us to sign up on there. And what it was essentially a website and which would aggregate deals, like all the different discounts which retailers would have, and they claim that in the 3 years since they launched, they've collectively had 10 million visits and uncovered $45 million in savings. Very notably, though, is that they managed to attract the backing of CBA, and this is actually probably what got me first of all to actually remember what it was, in that they raised $30 million in pre-launch funding at a $130 million valuation. Now, that is just a lot of money for effectively a deals aggregator. Anyway, they've announced recently that they're shuttering the business, and they're pausing all operations. I'm using air quotes for that, and are going to be reinventing themselves into an AI shopping tool. Is this newsworthy or not, Paul? I was kind of torn about this one because it was like, I remember them, but then I didn't hear about them for a long time. And I think there's quite a few of these sort of websites out there which sprung up around that pandemic boom of retail.
Yeah. Obviously, Gabby and Hezi both like killer businessmen and obviously did a great job with Catch and so on. And it was a lot of fanfare. 2021 just goes to show was a very different time, Mal. 130 mil valuation before releasing a product, and full credit to the guys for being able to go and get that. CBA won't give some people a $700,000 home loan. So, getting CBA to chuck in 30 mils is wild. But I guess like anything, it sounds like it hasn't gone as well as they would have liked. Yeah, it's always sad when a business ceases. I never really used it. I just remember it through Gabby. It's another one down. Dion Lee yesterday as well, Mal. I don't know if you saw that.
I did see that.
Yeah, it's and it says here, the CEO says, obviously we had the COVID period where everything was booming online. I guess that sums it all up in a nutshell. It was a lot easier in 2021 to get money and to make money, and it's hard. And sad for those guys. I think they're already working on something else, from what I understand. They'll be back. But yeah, it's just a reflection of tough times at the moment. And these guys, and Dion Lee was sad yesterday as well. For those that don't know, Dion Lee, Aussie designer brand, like huge over the world. Again, into I think voluntary administration.
Voluntary administration, yeah.
Yeah. So again, just another tough one. It's just reflection there that it is a really tough environment at the moment with people spending less money. So it's not nice to see these sort of businesses stop, but a timely reminder to batten down the hatches and just be sensible at the moment.
Yeah, but I think definitely in Little Birdie's case, it was finding out like what's the actual problem they're solving for customers. There's no shortage of ways to find discounts online, and very established ways like an Oz Bargain, for instance, or even all the various coupon websites, Shopback, etc., where you can find various discounts on those. I just found that there was probably not really enough of a USP. Like their value proposition probably didn't really resonate with the market, particularly trying to find on that level of valuation. You need to attract a lot of users to justify that. And I just think it just didn't know what its market was. Or at least appealed to a strong enough market who were willing to keep coming back time and time again, and we're going to grow with it. Whereas Catch, was again like of a time, of a place, and they did incredibly well when they launched. But now their offering has evolved somewhat under their ownership group, and they've changed, and I think they're trying to find their footing as well. So it just goes to show that technology changes very, very quickly. So I think you need to adapt as well. You got to figure out what is the problem you're actually solving for customers, whether you are a retailer or whether you're a tech vendor. And you need to be clear on that. Otherwise, you're going to get lost in the same way that, some of these brands who not necessarily saying Dion Lee or Tiger Lee, that, but there's a lot of Me Too brands I've found who are struggling right now, because they don't know what their value proposition is. They don't know what their unique place in the market is, how they are uniquely suited to solve their customers' challenges.
Yeah, there's not a lot of people that want to ask that question of their brand as well, Mal. And we ran that workshop this week on brand identity, and how you uncover that. And in my experience, like some nail it and get it, and others just don't want to address it. Like, well, we're a good quality product at a fair price. And like, oh, it just doesn't cut it. And again, just comes back to the idea that I can just launch any product, run some ads, and it will work. Maybe that did work at a certain time. But brands that have a true identity that solve a problem, Alex Hormozy talks about this a lot, is like, solve a problem, like identify the problem and go about convincing people how you solve it. And a lot of brand owners don't want to take that time to look at what is their brand? Why would people, as you say, recall that brand in a certain scenario? And in what scenario would people recall that brand? Rather than just trying to say, you need headphones, I've got headphones, buy these headphones, Mal. It's like, I don't need headphones right now. But when I do, who will I recall? I will recall the clever ones, the ones that stand out, the ones that clearly identify with me. And I just think that those are strong brands. And that brand identity is such an important part of business.
Now, one brand I think we do need to probably do a bit of a deep dive into at some point is one which I think actually ticks a lot of those boxes, which is Bugger Salt.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny, isn't it? You guys have seen that one that you load the gun up with salt and it kills the bugs. Yeah, I like that. I saw the lo-fi, love it. Lo-fi ad, the copy was cool, like, don't buy this for your husband or something. And it was like, oh, of course I'm going to look at this. And I just loved it. In terms of the whole concept, simple, lo-fi, understand exactly who they're talking to. What's it called? Bug Assault?
Bug Assault. So B-U-G, bug, assault.
That's clever.
Well, what I love about the ads is that it's like you're playing a video game. They all do it from like that first-person shooter perspective. You've got all these guys who are clearly filming themselves, going around finding bugs and shooting them, and they're walking around. They're holding these pink, fluoro pink guns, like they're cradling like an M16 or something. It's a bit scary, but also very, very funny.
It is very funny.
So in terms of like the brand, they know what they are. They know that they're there to have a laugh. Hamish and Andy are their ambassadors. Yeah. It's a cool, simple product. You kind of get exactly what need you're trying to solve. And you know what? I'm a bit old school with this. I go around with like the fly swat and try to get the flies. But after saying this, it's like, oh, you know what? Maybe I need a Bug Assault.
Maybe I need a Bug Assault. Yeah, this is good, and a good one for people to check out, just to be a bit fresh and creative. Don't have to go over the top. But this is, as soon as I saw it, I think I popped it in our Slack, and everyone just jumped on it. It's cool. I love this, and you're right. They know exactly who they're going after. And you know what? Don't know anything about them. I reckon they're doing pretty well.
Yeah, very lo-fi business. They don't really need to do a whole lot. It just kind of sells itself. You either love it or you hate it. Simple as that.
Over 100,000 customers loved by Hamish and Andy, So those guys wouldn't be cheap. I reckon they're doing all right, I reckon.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to something from my youth. Victoria's Secret, after putting their fashion show to bed a few years ago, have now brought it out of mothballs and have relaunched their annual fashion show. Now, the Victoria's Secret fashion show for decades, from back in my early 20s, was a really big thing. But then over the last few years, caught a lot of flack for the lack of diversity, for the wrong sending the wrong messages around positive body images, and various issues like that, which also kind of coincided with Victoria's Secret themselves falling into a bit of a state in terms of just declining revenues year on year. While they're still relatively big at $1.6 billion, $6 billion in gross sales, their business has been declining over the last few years to what people feared was kind of a sense of irrelevancy. Now, do you think there's something like this, Paul, can re-spark interest in the brand?
Definitely. Definitely. It's already made news. It was, in many ways, the Victoria's Secret show was bigger than the brand itself, and elevated that brand. It was the brand in many ways. So yeah, I think so. It's iconic. Young men will be rejoicing everywhere. I think so. Like, it's about doing interesting things and cool things and getting interest and publicity, right? And I'm pretty sure that it will do well. What do you think?
I think so as well. Look, I think a lot of it is that we're in this weird age where people are looking for things to connect with. Yeah, they're looking for meaning. And I had a couple of calls today with a couple of different retailers who are doing incredibly well, like apparel brands who were doing really well because they had value-driven brands. In the same way that, Victoria's Secret, like, you got to stand for something. And I think Victoria's Secret are kind of going back to that. I talked in the group last week about how there was this move from all these luxury brands to kind of become these almost very generic copies of each other. And they lose a lot of their brand DNA. And I think by Victoria's Secret kind of watering down the brand to try to fit what people wanted them to be, they've kind of rejected that. And I kind of almost going like, you know what, we're just going to kind of go back to who we are and what made us Victoria's Secret, which is these epic events, and really, being a bit more risque and a bit more provocative than something which is than your mother's brand. To kind of put them back on the map. And I think that's a good thing from a brand perspective. You want that. You want to figure out what is it which makes you special to your customers. And when you can do that, you can do what they're doing now, hopefully, which will kind of build that mystique and that prestige and that specialness around the brand again, which I think a lot of brands tend to lose when we all start copying each other.
Yeah, I agree. I think like they obviously had to park it for a while. It sounds like I wasn't across that, but they had to park it a while and bring it back, I guess, when the dust settled a little bit. But that's kind of like the Victoria's Secret fashion show was kind of like, and not running it is like having a Ferrari in the garage and never taking it out. I don't have a problem with it. Like, it's Victoria's Secret has always been about that. It's obviously wildly popular. If I don't really know about the diversity issue, I genuinely, actually my wife used to watch it all the time, but if they have erred there, I hope that they have fixed that. But yeah, I think in terms of brand interest, you've got to do what you can, and that was a big thing for them. So I'm no problem with them bringing that back as long as there's, no issue. I've got three young girls, so I want to make sure that they have good role models too out there. But I think this is a good thing.
Yeah, look, I think that interestingly enough, in Australia recently, in the last couple of weeks, there was the National Inclusion Commitment led by Inclusively Made, which is an organization of the largest advertisers and creative agencies in Australia, who all signed a pledge a couple of weeks ago to increase and promote equity, dignity, and inclusive best practice outcomes in authentic representation of people with disability through their advertising. So I think, when you combine that, and just as we're aware of these things, you can make things a bit sexier and whatever, but also while still being representative, as well.
Oh, yeah, I think that totally. I don't think you have to put a line through that completely. I think it's just about being fair and not making, honestly, what's it about? Making sure people don't feel left out, making sure that what you're doing doesn't make people feel bad about themselves. What Victoria's Secret does, I imagine, is designed at making people feel good about themselves. So as long as they're not excluding people, I think is the main thing. I don't think you have to put a line through the Victoria's Secret show altogether, as long as it's not making people feel excluded, a particular group feel excluded.
Yeah, absolutely. And considering like Abercrombie and Fitch are now going through somewhat of a renaissance, which blows my mind, considering if you remember back in like the early 2000s, they were like the poster child for like, white middle class. That was it. That's all who was represented in all their clothes and all their ads. And there was a lot of controversy around them, not hiring people of color or of different sizes and things like that. But now they're everywhere. So you can remake a brand. People tend to have short memories, and you can remake a brand, I think.
Yep, I agree. I'm not surprised reading up on it. They parked it for a while, bring it back. It's I think it's brands can be redeemed. Abercrombie and Fitch is an interesting one. That was basically an adjective, really, to describe a stereotypical white male, good-looking white male in the US. So it's interesting to see how they've changed as well. But things change.
I did not know that. I did not know that.
Always like you're the American movies. You're
Abercrombie and Fitch. Well,
you're describing someone as the typical all-American Abercrombie and literally became not an actual
that I knew,
adjective, but it was certainly part of the vernacular, I think. But yeah, it's good. It's glad to see brands evolve, and as long as it doesn't go too crazy, and we sort of allow brands to still express themselves, I think that's fine.
Absolutely. Look, we were going to talk about why we're going to debate the efficacy and the need for welcome discounts, 10% welcome discounts. But I think we're going to leave that for next week. I think that'll be a good discussion. And maybe, what do you think about doing this as a live recording with your group?
Oh, that's a good idea. 100%. Let's do that.
All right. Next week, we're going to do a live recording with the Ecom 100 group, and we're going to debate live whether you should be running a 10% welcome discount or not.
Ooh, love that. Timely as well, just discounting around the corner with June. So, we'll take some questions in the chat as well. That's a great idea.
All right. That's all we've got time for this week. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Thanks. Appreciate you listening in. If you do have any comments or anything you would like us to discuss, please reach out to us on LinkedIn or on the website ecomnation.com.au. You can find Paul and I on LinkedIn, otherwise our respective names.com.
That's it. All right. What's planned for tonight, Mel, or the weekend? Anything exciting?
Very little. I've got a dinner. I've got a confirmation to go to on Sunday.
Okay.
Yep. Very, very wholesome. What about you?
Very wholesome. Not much. I think I'm on parenting duties, as my wife will be out on Saturday. So no, I think not much. Just relax and maybe a good read and hopefully some good food.
Sounds great. Well, good luck with that on Saturday.
Yeah, thanks, Mel.